Hey guys, this is Brandon Nolan, aka Brand New You, known as a Christian rapper or a rapper who's Christian. Also, I make music, beats, I try to play instruments, I'm still learning. I do art, animation, things like that. Of course, I'm in school right now, so a lot of my time is focused on trying to get my assignments done, learning labs, class, video lessons and stuff. But in my free time, I'm still doing videos and podcasts and stuff. Just talking, sharing my heart on things, and so right now I want to talk about adventure games as a genre. It's kind of a forgotten genre. It's still around, it still exists, but it's not as popular as it was back in the 80s and 90s. And, I think it's because different genres kind of took the lead. Game genres like first person shooters took the lead, and also people liked real time strategy and stuff like that. And some of these styles have blended and kind of come together in ways. Like I've seen some like RPG adventure games and stuff like that, but there's still community of adventure game creators at a website that I visit, and I check to see some of the monthly showcased games that are made by regular individuals, or even sometimes indie game creation uh, groups, or companies. They create their own games from home, or I don't know if they do it in offices or not, but uh, with this software called Adventure Game Studio, it's totally free that anyone can download it and make a game, and you can choose whatever software you want in creating the game, the assets for it, which that's pretty much all you need. Adventure Game Studios where you do the programming, and other than that, is you can choose what level of scripting you want to use, whether you script a bunch of stuff yourself or you plug in a bunch of stuff, copy and paste, and change things up and kind of play around till you get it right. But there's lessons on YouTube where you can learn how to use it and make your own game. You can even play around with some of the demo games that are provided and change them up, and you can learn that way as well. But I want to see more like Christian adventure games. Like I don't think I've seen any much Christian games around. Like I want to see games that have like the Bible themes and things like that. And that would be so awesome if somebody created their own website where it was about a certain game, or a showcase of games by their independent, like Christian games, or it doesn't even have to be all Christiany in the title, like Bible Light games or something like that, unless you want to do that. But I mean, you can create something like uh, uh, storyteller champions, and it could be about like champions from the Bible or something. I don't know, just it doesn't have to be all preachy in the title is what I'm saying. But um, anyone can download Adventure Game Studio, make a game, and put it up on the community showcase, and it would be so cool to see Christian games up there. And so that's why I want to kind of promote that software and tell people about it and that community. Try out some adventure games, see and get a feel for what they are. Classic popular games in the past were Monkey Island by Ron Gilbert and King's Quest by Roberta Williams and her husband Ken, who were the founders of Sierra Online. So Ron Gilbert was kind of joined to Lucas Arts, which is the same franchise as Star Wars and Indiana Jones. which is now owned by Disney. So if they wanted to, they could make their own Monkey Island and kind of cross it with Pirates of the Caribbean if they wanted to. If they wanted to make a comedy or a movie or games, they own it now. Um, but anyways, going back to adventure games, creating your own game is simple. You could use Game Maker, you could use Unity 3D with the Adventure Creator tool. You can, which there's videos about that as well. A lot of things you can learn through YouTube. There's Blender as well. You can plug in a bunch of Python script and create your own 3D things. And there's a lot of 3D. You can either build the 3D models yourself, learn how to model and UV map the textures yourself using paint software, um, and pictures you take with your camera and edit and using those as textures, or you can actually paint the textures yourself like a texture artist. But all that to say, you can create your own games, and there's so many things you can do with that, and I'd like to see adventure games 2D and 3D. And you can use pretty much any software you want in creating the art and animation for. You could use Anime Studio if you wanted, or Moho Studio, or Toon Boom, or anything like that, and export PNG files, or like files that have a background that you can make into a transparent background, and you can export all the images individually out. So render your animation into a bunch of single images into a folder, and then reopen them back up into your animations that you're going to use in your game. Walk cycles and eyes blinking and anything that moves in the game. You can render out animations into single frames and put them together. Um, you can draw frame by frame if you want, or you can make it easier and use 3D. And basically, all you have to do is move it and then render it and then import it on in all the you know individual images that are exported. Uh, and then music and sound and stuff, you can use LMMS, which has some built-in tools for games like sounds. Like it's got this FXSR or something like that, SFX sound thingy, designer, or it's like a built-in little thing inside the thing. You'd have to look at how to use LMMS. It's sort of like Fruity Loops FL Studio, but it's free, and you can create beats, you can create melodies and instrumentals and sounds with that. Um, and you can use Audacity for recording. You can make your own samples to put into your beats and remixes using LMMS. So you can use both of those back to back, like for sound and stuff. You can also use Reaper, which Kevin McCreary from the Inner Tube likes Reaper better than Audacity. I kind of think both have their advantages. Like Audacity has some cool effects that you can use, like that. Like there's this one that can kind of make your voice sound like a droid. And I might put out some Audacity tutorial videos so y'all can kind of learn how to do that. Um, but there's a lot of things you can do in making your own game. You need a plan. Think how big or how small you want the game to be. If you want to work on it by yourself, maybe plan out a small game so you're not like frustrated and give up and stuff. The main thing is just find the software you want to use to make the art and the music and the sound. And it's pretty simple. It could be Audacity and Paint, regular MS Paint, or it could be GIMP. It could be, some of these other paint programs that are free. And Draw with Jazza suggests some free painting software. So check him out. There's Paint like Medibang and some other ones that I forgot the names too, but they kind of give you a little bit more than GIMP on the side of if you have a Wacom drawing tablet or any other brand of tablet that you can draw with. You can also scan your artwork. You can take pictures of things as well and bring it into your Paint software. So there's just a lot of options. You know, there's really no limit to what you can do with animation when it comes to the techniques. You can do it the old school South Park style, just like cut and pasting paper cutouts and stuff, like puppets, little finger puppet kind of things, clay models, stop motion, rotoscoping, using 3D and animating, drawing 2D over each frame of the 3D. A little blend or mixture of both. You can use 3D software to animate 2D. Like you can import the 2D graphics into the 3D environment and kind of give the illusions of a 3D world, you know. So there's just a lot of things you can do, and I'd encourage people to experiment with that. Learn some Blender, learn some GIMP, learn some Audacity, learn LMMS, learn the stuff you have to pay for as well, and maybe make tutorials as well and show people, because there's just a lot of things that people don't know how to do, and so I feel like there's just a lot of opportunities for people to make games, but they kind of don't know how to do it, so they pass the opportunity by or whatever because they think they need a million people on their game team, but all they really need is some experience and showcase their skills, and maybe then try to build an online team of volunteers or try to build their own game business and try to learn how to run it accordingly and legally and do what they need to do to hire, whether it's freelance or payroll and all that stuff. But that's another reason why you might go to a bookstore, whether a used bookstore like Half Price Bookstore, which I love. Half Price Bookstore, it sells music cheap. I get a lot of my favorite 116-click artist music there, and you can get they cater to creative people, so they sell a bunch of big beginner kits for people who want to learn crochet or learn how to play music or become an artist. They have like kits and books and things for anyone wanting to pick up a hobby of some kind, whether it's painting or drawing or sketching or whatever. So I encourage you to check out Half Price Bookstore. Barnes and Noble is cool too, but super expensive. But they probably got some really good value books that are newer and stuff, not used. And then of course there's Amazon and eBay, and then there's uh, Thrift Books website, and you can also just look stuff up on YouTube and learn. But start somewhere, and it's a learning experience, uh, and so of course you want to learn to be a good storyteller. You want to learn how to use the tools and kind of do both, and you can work on a game by yourself or with a few people, because this one guy, uh, I don't remember his name, but he made Stardew Valley. He was the programmer, the artist, and the musician. So um, it's always good if you have other people kind of helping you and stuff. And the bigger it is, the longer it's going to take, and the more likely you're going to need some help. But you can, create your own small games and projects by yourself, and there are certain things that can make the jobs easier for you, like game engines and stuff that you can use that have things that are pre-programmed they make the complicated things way easier. But if you're starting from scratch, obviously certain things will require a team to create that engine that you need to do the certain things you need to do easier. So if you're wanting to start from scratch, obviously you're going to need a big, you know, uh, team if you're trying to make a big giant game project and stuff. And obviously, I think you need to start small before you start big. So try to do something by yourself small and work your way up, doing bigger and adding more people onto it. But also, I'd encourage you to check out Phil Vischer, the founder of VeggieTales' big idea and Jellyfish Labs. He talks about his experience in the animation industry and where he got his start in his book called Me, Myself, and Bob. Really great book for anyone wanting to learn about, success and failure of doing um, animation for God and stuff. But animation plays a big part in games because there's game art and animation. So um, I think it's relevant and definitely worth learning from his success and failures and stuff. And he's also got a podcast. And I also encourage y'all to check out the Inner Tube podcast by uh, Josh Taylor from Blimey Cow YouTube channel and Kevin McCreary from Say Goodnight Kevin. And both have their own YouTube channels and they talk about animation a little bit. And of course, Roberto Blake talks about animation using IG and versus YouTube and using and basically trying to use IG to promote the animation and also try to sell merch. Just it's a great platform, I think, even if you're trying to do your games, probably, to try to promote your game using if animation is so successful so successful in there, I'm sure you'll want to promote your game on Instagram as well. But it is important to have your own website and showcase it there as well, and maybe a blog or a podcast to talk about stuff. But anyways, hopefully this helped y'all. I'm trying to think of any other things I want to talk about before ending the video, but I think I've covered most of what I was wanting to say. Um, I just would like to re-emphasize that it'd be awesome to see some Christian themed games that are kind of like the movie Courageous, where you know it'd be almost like the Police Quest game. Those games were pretty fun. You solved like murder cases and stuff. But kind of reimagine it being like, playing as a Christian guy trying to balance family and work and working as a police officer. Or the movie Fireproof. You're working in your department and there's point and click. You're at the house in one scene dealing with your family and you're at work in the other scene dealing with crime and or putting out fires and stuff. And it's kind of a storytelling game where you're solving puzzles and putting bits and pieces of the story together. You're talking to people, NPCs, and once you do certain things, you can move on to the next scene. And I think that would be pretty interesting. It'd be like Police Quest, um, in a way, like because you're in the academy and then you're out on the streets collecting evidence and picking things up and bringing them back to other people to look at and stuff like that. So that would be pretty awesome for a Christian to take these ideas and run with it. And also, um, I'm trying to think of how War Room could be a movie. I mean, not movie. That's already a movie. A game. Um, I need to watch that movie again because I kind of forgot. But I'm sure there's other Christian movies that could be made into games or kind of be inspiration for a style of game. Like it could be a whole different story with different characters, kind of running along the same theme, but retold in a different way. Um, so yeah, it'd be interesting because you don't want to just play the whole movie in the same way. That'd be kind of boring, and you'd already kind of know what happens. So it'd be kind of cool if like there was just kind of a similar scenario, and you're exploring different places and seeing different people and things going on. You're out in the streets encountering gangs and drugs and all that stuff, and you have a Bible in the game, and you're maybe a street evangelist or something, and um, so it would be interesting to see that. I'm trying to think of other scenarios or games. Um, Bible stories, obviously. I've seen little cartoons that kind of take you back to Jesus' time, like those little cartoons with the cartoon kids there, and they got their dogs and stuff like that. I forgot what that was called, but um, I think it would be pretty cool, like to um, have like a cartoonized little like time of Jesus game. Of course, hopefully these people would stick to the what the Bible says and stuff that and acknowledge Jesus as being God and acknowledge the reason why he came and not like water things down and or just say that he was a good teacher or prophet or whatever. Like hopefully these are true like Bible believing Christians who make these games. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to see like a bunch of games teaching false doctrines and theologies and stuff. But it would always be good to kind of put yourself in the shoes of somebody in that time and kind of walking through the streets of Jerusalem and Galilee and Bethlehem and Nazareth, and like you're the shepherds or the wise men or you're some other character. You're one of the people that are in the crowd in need of a miracle or something, and it could be kind of like a almost like the Hobbit game or whatever. You're going from one place to the next or whatever, and you're meeting people, and it'd be like that Journey to Jesus game that was on Facebook, which I tried. I didn't get very far except to the baptism of Jesus in the river with John the Baptist. So, but it was interesting how they made that game a little bit, in a way it was a little bit cliche being like Farmville or something like that, but at the same time it was kind of interesting and cool. And other than that, I've seen little David and Goliath Bible games and stuff, but um, I think we need more Bible storytellers, people who are like retelling the stories of the Bible and putting them into a game, um, and trying to stay true to the message and story of it, but also being relatable to today, modern day, and stuff, and relating it to the life of a Christian in present times and stuff, or even of recent present times, like or recent times, like the industrial age or something like that, just to kind of make it a little historical and a little far back, but not too far back, and kind of making it interesting to see a different place and time, um, like old steamboats and cottages and carriages, because people like to see things like that and kind of be in a different place sometimes and learn old things. So there's a lot of learning you could do through games as well. You can always make it known that the game is about learning, like put real facts inside books inside the game. Say there's like a little library and you're actually opening up books, and some of the puzzles require you to write notes down or something, uh, from what people are saying in the game or what you're learning from the notes you're taking from the little library, and it could be almost like Nancy Drew games. My sister's a big fan of Nancy Drew. Um, Basically, you solve crimes and things like that. You solve mysteries, and so you pick up clues and you look at little things that kind of help you to solve like codes and locks and stuff like that, or you find secret doors and secret places. People like that kind of thing, and so I think a game that runs along those lines would be a fun, interesting game to play. Now, while there's several people that like shoot 'em up games, FPS, and maybe there's a place and time for that. Maybe you can make a FPS like kind of a game that's like you're playing David or something, and I don't know about being explicit and showing the Bathsheba thing, but I mean, you can kind of cover up and make it known that he's looking at her or something, and you only see her like from behind or something, and and maybe she's either blurred out or it's like dark and she's kind of like shadowy there, and then it just kind of has a suggestion that they've you know uh, that he's done the do with her or whatever, like without actually going there and showing you him and her doing it and stuff, like because it'd be inappropriate and stuff. But like it'd be interesting to see these geographical places kind of reimagine, like, or re reshown or whatever, like re-illustrated according to actual like history, like like what we've found in Bible findings and discoveries, archaeology and stuff. Like it would be so cool to see, like what it would look like with David being up on the roof or whatever, and Bathsheba's over there and stuff, and then being in a palace or wherever kings stayed and stuff like that. Just a lot of different things that you could do in a Bible game. But anyways, I'm kind of starting to ramble on and repeat myself. I'm not sure what else you could do, but I'm sure there are a lot of things you could do with a game and somehow inspire people to want to know more about Jesus and the Bible and things like that, and to tell a good story and make it fun and interesting, and maybe not always Christian. I mean, maybe sometimes telling stories about little animals or something, I don't know, or um, just being creative and acknowledging that God gave you a talent and a gift, and pointing people to Jesus some way, and stuff. But like I said, there's lots of tools that you can get right from home. You don't need everything fancy. Of course, there are some things that you may have to buy to make it of good quality. Like you may have to invest. If you want traditional artwork and paintings and stuff, you're going to have to buy some paint and brushes and canvases and learn how to paint. Or you can find an artist and pay them. Uh, or you can do art on the computer all digitally, and it's way more easy and it's cheaper. It's free pretty much. It just costs you time and maybe an investment in the purchase of the software if it's Photoshop. Um, but there's there's some things you might have to invest in, like my stuff back here, studio monitors, or a good microphone, um, audio interface. You might want one of these audio box or a Focusrite Scarlett, and a condenser mic, which these things you can get on Sweetwater, you can get at pawn shops, you can get online at Amazon and eBay. So there's lots of options here, and for sound it's kind of minimal and stuff. You can buy a piano or do it all within FL Studio if you want, but you can get a USB MIDI controller and make it where you can play your keyboard into the computer and play your melodies in real time with your fingers, or you can just click them with the mouse in FL Studio and kind of put them together that way. But yeah, there you can learn music, art, animation, and programming, and make your own game using whatever game engine you like, whether it's Adventure Maker or Adventure Game Studio or Blender or Unity or Game Maker or any other program. There's also Torque, and you can use programming languages as well to make games. And there's Unreal Engine and so many other engines that you can mess around with. Just look up Game Engine, download, and read about these things, and do your research and find out what's available out there beyond what I'm saying and talking about. You can make games with Flash if you want, but I think Flash is kind of like died. They're trying to replace Flash, so you might look into other things beyond Flash. You can still use the graphics and the style of Flash and maybe export those animations and import them into the game engine of choice that you're wanting to use, and rather than being the SWF file or whatever Flash files are, you can use like a PNG or import whatever format your game engine wants you to use for your animation sequences and stuff. So anyways, I hope all this helps you in trying to make your own adventure games or your own games, period. But I'd really like to see more adventure games and kind of see like a comeback of the adventure game genre. They are still around, and people they've kind of made a comeback in a way. Like you can find some on your phone. You can type in adventure game, and a lot of today's quote unquote adventure games aren't even true adventure games. Like according to like they're not like the same as the style of what I know to be adventure games like King's Quest or Monkey Island. They are basically just these little puzzle games where you're trying to click hidden objects inside a room or something like that, and those are not adventure games. Or they're like little, like kind of like Candy Crush or some other kind of game that's just kind of like one of these little games that moms and dads download, or anyone downloads because they're bored or whatever. But I'm talking about storytelling, puzzle solving games where you're walking around screen to screen using either picking up objects and examining them using like a look at, use options, whatever. Like there's a GUI or like a thing called something user interface, graphical user interface. So you're using some sort of GUI to look or examine or touch or interact with things in the game. And so basically uh, it could be like the old Monkey Island where it's a little box that says pull, push, all that, or it's like a little thing where you right click and the little thing comes up and you can click on a little uh, uh, magnifying glass that represents look at or examine something. You can examine things in the environment that you're in or the background. Like say you're in one room or a background uh, that's like a inside a house or something. You can look at things that are in that house, and you can go outside and look at the bushes or something, and it says you see something sticking out in the bushes. So then you can, with that knowledge, you can say, well, I might want to look at and see what's in the bushes or try to interact with it. So you use your hand icon or whatever to touch what's in the bushes and see what it is. And either it says, oh, a snake bit you or whatever, and then it shows your person dies and you have to restart that scene. And of course, in classic adventure games, you better save often. Um, and sometimes you don't. It just takes you right back to where you were before. But other times you have to start the whole game over. But anyways, or you might. It says you find a stick or you find money in the bushes. Okay, so you pick it up. It's in your inventory. Now you can use that item wherever you go in the game. And so, like later on, you might need the stick to beat a snake with, or you need the money. Say you picked up money in the bush and you find a coin machine, and there's something in the machine you need to dispense, or you find somebody that wants to trade with you, and they'll only let you pass when you give it to them, or something like that. So it's things like that with adventure games that make it fun, and you'd have to play adventure games the old classic kind to understand what I'm saying probably. But once you play them, you'll realize what I'm talking about, and hopefully you'll want to make your own. Like this right here, I made that to kind of represent what could be an adventure game. That could be an adventure game. That could be an adventure game. In fact, that looks like the old King's Quest original ones. Like you could go to another screen and there'd be more trees in a different order or whatever. Like you go screen to screen and it takes you from place to place. Like you might find yourself at a waterfall on one screen and you go to another screen. So there's a north, south, west, east, and in the way they map it, each screen is they use little boxes that have a name and description of that given screen. So you go north and you're at a new place, and it kind of resembles those old text-based adventure games or whatever, those role-playing games and stuff, where you can go up or down, you can climb ladders, and you're in a whole new different place. Um, so it's almost kind of like those old, like dungeon games and stuff. Um, but yeah, like it'd be cool to see some of those style games come back, and people are storytelling and telling people about the Bible, like I said. And so, anyways, I've rambled on. Thank you for watching, and talk to me in the comments. Let me know if you've made a game, and let me know what software you use for making games, or if any of the softwares I've let you know about, tell them which one you want plan to use or whatever. Like if you plan to use Unity or if you plan to use Adventure Game Studio, let me know and stuff. Interact with me. Let me know what you plan to use, what you plan to do, what you're playing, things like that. Ideas you have for me for videos, or any kind of suggestions for like maybe you have ideas for games or something, or something, or you thought some of the ideas I shared in this video were cool and you want to use them or something, like that police quest style, game that's similar to the movie Courageous or Fireproof. Um, that would be pretty cool, and I would like to know if anybody's actually doing that. And so I would like to know about it. Don't just make one of those games and I don't ever get to know about it. Like, try to remember me, write my name down, bookmark me, subscribe to me, and let me know that you have endeavored to do that. And whether it finishes or not, it'd be interesting to at least play the prototype of it, and see what you start. And hopefully you will finish, but it would be so cool to play a game like that. So I want to be able to play it if it gets made. So let me know about it. And I think I've said everything I need to say. But yeah, check out the Adventure Game Studio community. Download Adventure Game Studio and play with it. Let me know what you find. And yeah. Um, Stay tuned for more videos. I could probably help you with learning some of these softwares. If you have any questions about any of the software that I talked about, then maybe I can create some tutorials for you. So also let me know about that. Alright, so like, share, subscribe, follow, brand new you.